All right. Well, hey, good morning, everyone, and maybe a good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. My name's Paul Butcher, and I've got Tyler Klein with me. Today, we're going to be sharing some information about PaladinShop, a digital store, as well as a customer self-service portal that we are including with your Paladin Point of Sale subscription. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to walk you through some concepts around rethinking online. We're going to cover state of the industry, rethinking how to compete online, as well as a different approach, which today we'll be talking about PaladinShop. So in the news, whether it's weekly or almost daily, we know that our industry is facing some headwinds. Certainly, we know across retail, in-store foot traffic is decreasing. If you look more specifically at the hardware industry, we know that it's under some consolidation, most notably with the acquisition of True Value by Do It Best here recently, which in and of itself is probably some market efficiency. But if you look at all of the consolidating activities that have happened in the past year and a half, we know that it's indicating some troubling times for the hardware industry. Looking at consumer behaviors, I can remember a number of years ago looking at some of these indicators and analysts speculating about when the crossover or the tipping point would be on these indicators. That is long behind us now, with 55% of customers shopping primarily online. That is pretty amazing, actually. 63% of shopping journeys are starting on Amazon, and that is notably because of the investment they've made in this space. And then almost 80% of smartphone owners are using their phones to research products, whether in their home, while they're out and about, or in the aisles of your store. Now, it may be a moot point, but I do find it kind of interesting that what's happening here is that these tech companies are actually managing the moment of inspiration. The moment of inspiration is that time when a consumer is looking at an item and has that first impulse to purchase it. What researchers and these tech companies have discovered is if they can reward that within those first 5 to 15 seconds after that impulse, that they are really increasing the odds of a purchase happening. In fact, it's not dissimilar to gambling or any other addictive behavior, and these tech giants are perfecting this, and this reward cycle is perpetuating. So we can expect these consumer behaviors to continue to increase given the investment they're making in this space. Moving forward, so I kind of have 2 points on this slide that I want to share with you. One is we should be smart about our spending in this space. If you think about $1,000 a month, maybe going to search engine optimization, you have to wonder if that is going to make a dent given the hundreds of millions of dollars that these tech giants are spending in order to capture search and the shopper when they're beginning their shopping journey. I'm not saying that you shouldn't invest in search optimization, especially if you can take advantage of some of the local search capabilities that are available now, but we need to be smart about that. Secondly, customers are using their mobile apps to compare prices. It's very hard to compete in this space. To develop a mobile app is just not logical that you're going to be able to do something on that front. And then just the mere fact of getting online. This can be a very expensive proposition, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring the many items in your store online. Not only can it be costly to develop and host a website, but also you may need to acquire technical expertise, either consultants or individuals on your staff to do it the way that most platforms are built now. So let's pivot and look at what we really should be focusing on. And these are some things that you've actually shared with us over the past few years. You've told us that your customers want the ability to buy when they have time, to pay their bills online, their monthly statements online, to access purchase history online, print statements, and also to be able to repurchase items that they frequently buy. And so with that, we are introducing PaladinShop, which is a POS-based digital store and customer service portal. This is a system you already know because it's built inside of Paladin Point of Sale, a system that you and your employees already know and use and are comfortable with. As I said, it includes self-service features like the ability for your customers to pay their account balances online. This third bullet, I want to emphasize the complete product information aspect of PaladinShop is really important. We have gone off and built detailed information for every single item in your store, as well as those that are at your supplier, so that your customers, when they are online on your store, can make informed purchase decisions with very rich, detailed information about the products that you're showcasing. The site is already built. There's nothing for you to do but to add your logo and turn on the promotion capabilities that we've built for you. There's no URL to buy, there's no website to build, there's no product catalog to build, and you don't have to negotiate with a cloud provider to host. We take care of all of that for you. Now, I do want to be very transparent about the costs of PaladinShop. At this point, everything is included in your monthly subscription to Paladin Point of Sale. If a customer comes in and makes $100 acquisition on your digital store, we would collect $9 of that $100, or 9%. If a customer comes in and makes a payment on their monthly outstanding bill, we don't collect anything for that. That's business that they've conducted with you. And finally, I would share another scenario. If nobody buys anything on your store, we wouldn't collect anything, because we are operating here on a philosophy that your success comes first. So with that, I want to hand it over to Tyler, who will walk us through a guided tour of Paladin Point of Sale and PaladinShop. Thank you.
Excellent, thanks, Paul. Okay, let me get set up here.
Escape. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so like Paul mentioned, my name is Tyler Klein, and I am Paladin's Operations Director. I've been working at Paladin for 15 years now. One of the observations that I've had in the last decade and a half is how difficult it has been for stores to bring a web presence online, to develop and establish themselves on the internet. And there were several major obstacles that I've observed when stores have tried to accomplish that. I want to run through those real fast. The first is rich descriptions. These are long descriptions for products that are appropriate and expected for your customers to buy something online. So if you go online and you buy something on any online store, you're going to expect to see a long description that adequately explains what the product is and how to use it. Well, your typical hardware store is going to have 10,000 or even more SKUs in it, and that's a massive task to sit there. And I don't know how fast of a typer you are, but it would take me a better part of a year to type in 3,000 or 10,000 long, rich descriptions like that. So that was a major problem with getting an online store launched, was all that labor that was involved in creating those descriptions. Next was images, kind of the same problem. Taking 10,000 pictures also takes a lot of time, and there was no good source, no centralized source for quality images that could be used for these large number of products. And so stores would have to take a bunch of pictures themselves or hire a photographer, and those things were either cost or time prohibitive. The next major challenge was the technical complexity. There was generally, in the different implementations that I've seen of this being tried, there was generally 3 entities that exist. There was Paladin, there was the website, and there was something in between. And it was kind of a maintenance layer that somebody at the store was expected to be familiar with. They could perform maintenance on the website using this layer. They could make sure that things were running smoothly. The problem with the maintenance layer is you had to be a web developer generally in order to be effective with it. It required a lot of technical complexity, and if you didn't go to college and learn how to be a web developer, stores generally struggled to be successful with that, or they had to pay someone, which again was cost prohibitive. Thirdly, lack of a customer self-service portal. So most of the integrations that I've seen were not detailed enough in order to have a two-way flow of information between the site and the point of sale system, and include all of the statement information, invoice information, ability to write invoices, make payments. All of those detailed levels of integration were lacking. Lastly was cost. Now, Paul talked about this already, but there are a lot of things that have a price tag associated with them when it comes to bringing a website online. Just to run, just machine gun off a few: domain names, installation, licensing fees, maintenance and support fees, supplier integrations, inventory management and POS integration, hosting, site design, someone to type in or generate those long descriptions that we were talking about, those rich descriptions, high resolution images, product review features, and that's maybe half the list of things that have price tags associated with them. These were giant problems that really prevented most stores from being successful online. So the magic that Paladin Shop is that we solve all those problems. With regards to cost, Paul talked about that already. That's a model that I think really is in alignment with Paladin's general philosophy. When you're successful, we're successful. If you're not successful online, you don't sell anything, well, then it doesn't cost you anything. We just absorbed all of the costs for you. If you are successful, great, so will we. That's our philosophy when it comes to Paladin Shop. Okay, I want to show the shop now and how this works. And in so doing, you'll learn how Paladin Shop solves all the problems that I talked about. So on the screen here, this is the screen you come to when you first log into Paladin. We're going to go to the inventory module. And we're going to recall a part. Okay, now this is just the general inventory module. Everybody here is probably pretty familiar with this. You'll notice there's a new tab up here at the top, Paladin Shop, and we're going to click on our brand new Paladin Shop tab. Now what we're going to see here is a mirror image of the information that is going to be displayed on the website. So the image that is displayed here, the information that's over here on the right, and this long, rich description that is down here below, this is a mirror image, basically a copy of what you're going to see on the site. And so this is the maintenance layer that we talked about. You don't have to go learn how to be a web developer. You don't have to get super complicated with it. It's all right here. This is the maintenance layer. So let's talk about the product image. How did we get this image? Where did it come from? We have worked with the big suppliers in our industry to source images from them, as well as we found online legal sources that Paladin AI not generates, but finds images that are appropriate for each item. Likewise, this rich description that is here. No one touched a keyboard in order to generate this. No one had to type anything in. This was generated completely automatically by Paladin AI without anybody having to do anything. What we do is we take the information that we already have for each inventory item, and we feed that through Paladin AI, and that generates a rich description that is appropriate for an online retail environment. Pretty impressive, pretty remarkable, and frankly, feels like magic. I've read a lot of these now, and I'm extremely impressed at how good it does. Now, you may not want to sell every single item that you have in your store online, totally understandable. And so again, we're back to the maintenance layer. Well, there's some visibility options here at the top. If you don't want an item to be visible on the site, i.e. you don't want to sell it on the site, no problem. Just click this visible button and boom, the item's hidden. It's no more complicated than that, very simple. Likewise, we have visibility controls for departments, classes, and subclasses over here on the left. And that way, if you wanted an entire department, class, or subclass to not be visible on the site, excellent. You can just check a box, and now that entire department is not visible on the site. Really simple, really easy, nothing complicated. You'll notice there's a no kit triggers here. That's because kits are not supported on the Paladin shop. And so for that reason, a kit trigger item would never be eligible to be on the Paladin shop. Okay, let's look at the shop itself next. All right, so this is the shop. This is the online site. This is the opening page that you would come to when you first browse to the site. And you'll notice there's a logo at the top. Well, where did we get the logo? Well, this is the same logo that we put on your statements, on your receipts. It's already in point of sale. Same with the name here. Where did we get that? We got that right out of point of sale. So we can build this site without needing to, again, have a complicated maintenance layer where you have to go enter a bunch of information. We already have the information in point of sale, so we can just build everything right there without you needing to do anything. Search, we got a search bar here at the top, pretty straightforward. You can search for items there. On the left, we have these list of departments. This, again, no maintenance layer. This is the list of departments that are in Paladin Point of Sale and aren't hidden, obviously. If I were to click on any of these, I would see a sub list appear. These are the list of classes that are associated with this department. If I click on any of these classes, these are the list of subclasses that are associated with this class, again, in Paladin Point of Sale. So the site is architectured based on how you have your departments, classes, and subclasses set up in Point of Sale. Straightforward. Let's go back to our featured items. These items here that we display by default on the home screen here, these are the items that are most likely to be successfully purchased online. These are the most successful items in your store. In this store, the most successful item happens to be shims. Okay, I want to look at some customer self-service portal features next. And in order to do that, we're going to need to sign in. So I'm going to go to sign in here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and log in as myself. And we're now logged into the site. And we're going to go to my account here. This is where the self-service features exist. Now, the first thing that we're going to come to here is account payment. So let's go there. Now, it was really important to us. This was something that we got requested by many of you, by many of our stores. And so we listened, we heard you guys. The driving force behind this was ease of being able to make online payments to increase cash flow. If something is really easy for people to do, they're more likely to do it sooner. And if they're making online payments sooner, great, it's increasing your cash flow. Many stores have a huge amount of money outstanding that they're constantly waiting to collect on, and money now is always better. So this is pretty straightforward screen. We can see how much is owed. We can choose either a card that we have on file or add a new card, enter the amount we'd like to pay, and select make payment. And it's not more complicated than that. The next thing I'd like to show is statements. And so let's browse to the statements page. Okay, so on this page, we're going to go to statements here. And on the statements page, One of the things we wanted to make sure was in the shop as well is an ability for you to access, well, not for you, for your clients to be able to access all of the statements that that they've ever ran. Now, the main idea here is we want to make sure that we're reducing your load as much as possible. So especially your accountants, your bookkeepers, common request from us when we were thinking about this was, look, I'm getting requests to reprint statements or invoices or some component of the documentation that I'm either emailing or handing in paper to my clients, and I don't want to have to do that when I don't have to reprint those for them when they're losing those documents, or they're just not able to find them, or I'm being asked to regenerate those. Well, now your clients have an online source that they can access all of that information. The click of a button, they can reprint all of that themselves from any device that has an internet connection, wherever they may be in the world. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is orders here. And so we're going to go to orders. Now on the orders page, this is every invoice that this client has ever done with you, whether it be an online order or an in-store order. Both are going to be displayed right here. And one of the things that was important to us that we built into this was a ability to reprint invoices, as well as an ability to buy items again. So if we were to view our order details here, we would be able to buy this item again very simply and straightforwardly, providing that path of least resistance. Again, a big thrust here is we're trying to make this very simple so that you can easily compete with the other online entities. An ease of use is what online brings to a lot of people, and we want to make this as simple as possible, and that's why we built that into the Paladin shop. Okay, next thing I want to show is the actual process of ordering an item. So let's recall this item here. Now, this item should look familiar to you. This is the item we were looking at earlier inside a point of sale. Now, this is again, a mirror image like we talked about. So all of this should be very straightforward. Oh, I just saw this before, right? Because we were looking at it in point of sale. And if you're wondering, well, where did they pull some of this information? Well, this is the description of the item in point of sale. This is the part number of the item in point of sale. Our stock availability, that reads based off of the stock on hand in Paladin. If we had no stock on hand, then this would say out of stock rather than in stock. Pretty straightforward. And then down here, this is the rich description that we talked about earlier and looked at. Again, nobody touched a keyboard in order to generate this. And these will all be generated in a uniform format too, so it looks professional and consistent across every item. I'm very impressed. It's still kind of magic to me that this works so well. It's incredible what AI can do. Okay, let's buy this item. We're going to add it to the cart. Item added to cart. Excellent. Going to go to my cart. Here we can see all the items in the cart, and we display a subtotal. Shipping and tax are calculated at checkout. I'm going to agree to the terms of service and select checkout here. All right, on our checkout page, we've got a couple of choices to make. Right now, pick up in store is the option that we have developed. Eventually, we do plan on adding more options here. And so what we would very much like to have is options for ship from store. So it could be shipped from the store to the client. We also would like to have a drop ship option available. Right now in the version 1 of this, pickup in store is the only option, but more exciting things to come from Paladin Shop in the future. We need to select a form of payment. We've got a couple of options here. We've got charge account and credit card. Let's talk about charge account first. Charge account. If we want to charge this to our account, we must have sufficient credit limit in order to do so. And so this screen works the same way as the Paladin invoice and quote module, as if we were checking out in the store works. When we select charge account, we will automatically go look, does this client have sufficient credit limit in order to charge this to the account? And if not, it won't let them charge. Let's go to credit card. A note on credit card. You can add a card on file online, just like you can add a card on file in point of sale. Those two cards on file, the one online or the one in the Paladin shop, those are different lists of cards on files that has to do with the tokens and how the credit card processing works online. And so a card that you store on file wouldn't, on the Paladin shop, wouldn't be able to be used in Paladin point of sale and vice versa. They're different lists of cards on file. Now down here we can see I've got a discount of 30%. Well, why do I, or not 30%, 30 cents. Why do I have a discount? I have a discount because I'm a good customer for my own store. And so I've negotiated a pricing plan, and I have a pricing plan associated with my account that gives me a discount. So I am guaranteed to get my negotiated price, whether I'm shopping in the store or I'm shopping online. Likewise, taxes. The tax that we calculate here is going to be the taxes that I set up for this particular account. So if you've got a special tax customer, maybe a tax exempt customer, or a tax that gets special tax considerations, our customer that gets special tax considerations, that will all be taken into account, and the correct tax for this client will always be applied. Okay, now if I wanted to place the order, I'd click place order. I don't actually want to charge a card right now, so I'm not going to do that, but that is what we would do. We just have to say place order. And as soon as I click that, I'd be emailed letting me know, hey, your order has been placed and is in the process of being picked by the store. So now let's look at what the point of sale side of this looks like, so we can kind of close the loop. Here's the item we were looking at earlier. We're going to come back to the default screen. So this is the default screen you come to when you first load Paladin and log in. And you'll notice there's a new tab right here. So on the updates tab, this is where we kind of default to. This is the features and new updates from Paladin. Pay attention to this. We have important things that we put here all the time. But new tab now exists here, Paladin Shop. We've got a little number in parentheses there. For me, it's 51. That's the number of orders that have come in that I have yet to pick. I have yet to go grab these items off the shelf for those clients and set them aside for them. So it looks like I got a little bit of work to do here. Now let's go to the Paladin Shop tab. We display a couple of numbers at the top, sales in the last 30 days, as well as the dollars worth of orders that require our attention that we need to do something with. So we've got Tyler's Construction here. I'm going to open this order. Now, when I open this order, I've got a couple of options. I've got pulled and canceled. Definition of these: pulled means I found the item on the shelf, I pulled it off the shelf, and I set it aside for this client. Canceled means I wasn't able to find the item. Maybe the stock on hand was wrong. Maybe the item was sold off the shelf between the time that the order was placed and the time that I went and picked it. If I click canceled and say send order update, then an email will be sent to the client informing them of this, and they will be automatically refunded. Print pick list, another option we have here. Reason we put this option here is, for this particular order, I only have one item in it, but there easily could be 50 or 100. There could be a ton of items in this. Somebody could be ordering an entire shed, all of the components that it would take to build a shed, and that might be quite a number of items. And so the print pick list report is to, it was designed to provide you with the location of each item and a printable report that you could go through and kind of check off, okay, what things have I picked? What things haven't I picked? To make sure we keep it all straight, because it might take a little time to pick 100 items. Once we've made our selection on pulled or canceled, in this case, we're going to go ahead and pull the item. We're going to say send order update. Now, when I click send order update, a email is automatically sent to the client informing them, hey, your orders have been picked. They're ready for you to come into the store and pick them up. And so the next step of that process is we fast forward time a little bit here. They come into the store, they're ready to pick their item up. And we're going to do that by going to the invoicing pull module. We're calling the account that picked the item up. And we're going to inform you immediately, hey, they've got a Paladin shop order. Oh, cool. So we'll call that transaction. And here it is right here. Here's our order. Let's go ahead and open that. All right, we've got two choices now. We can either cancel this order or deliver this order to the customer. We wanted to build a cancel option in here just so, sometimes people abandon things. They order things online and they just never come in to pick them up. They don't follow through. Okay, no big deal. If you after a reasonable amount of time has passed, a week or whatever you're comfortable with, you want to cancel the order, just click cancel order, and then the customer's automatically refunded to their card, and no harm done. You can put the items back on the shelf. In this case, we're going to deliver it to the customer. And this screen should also look familiar to you. I want to call special attention to the authorized signers field. I think the best practice in using this is going to be to fill this out in every single time in this scenario. The reason is because the person placing the online order could be different from the person who's picking the order up. And the person who placed the order may have a very reasonable question of, well, who came in to pick it up? I want to know who that was, because maybe they never got it. It never exchanged hands between the person who picked it up and the person who ordered it. And so this is your opportunity to record who that person was that picked it up. I'm going to type my name in here for now. And next, and at this point, we would print a delivery, not a delivery, we'd print a receipt saying, yep, it's been picked up. And that's it. That's the full loop of the Paladin shop. It's a product that I'm really excited about. A lot of work went into building this. I think it's extremely cool. I'm very excited to see how this benefits you and your clients. And I think that's about everything I had to say. Are there any questions? Anything I can answer for anybody?
There's a question here, Tyler. It says, how soon do you estimate the shipping will be available?
The shipping?
Drop shipping?
Oh, drop shipping. TBD. Good question. It's something that we're actively working on. I don't think I'm willing to put a time frame on it right this second. It's a good question. I wish I could give you a for sure answer, but I would rather just not give a direct answer to that right now, because I don't know exactly how long that's going to take. Right now, where we're at in this process is we have released the Paladin shop to a handful of stores, and it's testing there, and we're right on the cusp of releasing this further. So this is a product that we're in the process of rolling out further right now, and that's our main focus at the moment. And getting those drop ship and ship from store options in there, that will be kind of a V2, something that we're working on next. And exactly how long, it's a good question, not something I'm able to answer at the moment. Paul, you have anything you want to add to that? He's shaking his head no. I think that's where we're at. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's about 8 or 9 of them.
Rock and roll. Let's just one after another. What you got?
Where would the online shop payment site be hosted? I'm curious from a PCI compliance perspective.
The online payment shop, so the Paladin shop is hosted on Paladin servers. And so what was the second part of that question, Charles?
Curious for PCI compliancy perspective.
PCI compliancy, yeah, so it's something that's very important to us, obviously, and so all of those things, PCI compliancy is a complicated subject, but something that we are absolutely taking into account.
Okay, and then when the delivery option is developed for orders, would it be possible to limit or restrict the delivery distance?
Good question. That has come up. It's something we definitely need to take into consideration. We'll make note of that now as something that we should consider as we develop this feature further.
Here's a great one, Tyler. Will we be able to link Paladin Shop website with our current website?
Yes, absolutely. And so actually one of the sites that we've had, that we've released this to already has already done that. And so yes, you can have, you could take that question two ways. You could have like a redirect, so you could type in, in my case, my name's Tyler, so I could type in, tylershardware.com and have that direct you to the Paladin Shop site. Also, if you already have a website, and maybe you want to provide some links in that site that would take you to the Paladin Shop, absolutely, both things are possible.
Now the question is, how is a customer account in Paladin linked to the customer's online account?
Good question. Via account number. So the account number is the guaranteed to be unique identifier between the two. And so account number is the linking value between the account in point of sale and the account online. And when you first, sorry, Charles, just to elaborate on that a little bit more, when you first go to sign in and create your account, that's one of the questions it asks you. As it goes, hey, just put your account number in here and we'll link everything else for you.
Will only customers with accounts be able to buy online?
That's a good question also. The answer is no. So if you don't have an account in the store already, you can create an account through the Paladin Shop. They will still be able to buy online. That account would then be created in point of sale, obviously with no credit limit. So they wouldn't be able to charge anything unless you or somebody in the store approved that. But they still would be able to make purchases from you even if they don't already have an account in point of sale.
Great. How are the customer logins created?
Customer logins are created so when you create an account online, you create the login, just like any other online shopping experience. So you will choose a username and password, and then you're able to log in and buy things.
Okay, and then can you modify to only accept ACH payments, or cap an amount for credit cards, or pass along a 3% surcharge for cards?
Complicated question. Can you read the first part again, Charles?
So they want to be able to accept ACH payments. Is the first part of that. ACH checks.
Not at the moment. Good idea. Not at the moment. And then the second part had to do with cash discounting, passing on the credit card fees. Was that right, Charles?
The surcharge, yeah. Either one, capping the amount for credit cards, or passing along a 3% surcharge for cards.
Yeah, at the moment, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Paul, at the moment, I don't believe we have that cash discounting option built into the system in a direct fashion. But this is something that I think we should keep in mind with regards to the cash discounting subject in general. Because we've had so many stores with interest in it, we've done a little bit of research into this and how the market plays with the cash discounting feature. And so a little bit of a tangent here. But a lot of stores that I've turned on personally with that feature have opted to subsequently turn it off because their clients really don't like it. It does reduce shopping in stores. So it's just something to keep in mind is people do notice that you do that. According to Visa's rules, you do have to post that you're doing that in your store. So it's very publicly visible. And people don't like that. There are ways to go about approaching that problem that doesn't have those issues. And we have some tools that we've built to really assist with that. So for instance, credit card fees, how I think about it, and I know we're not all uniform in this, but how I think about it is credit card fees, like your employee payroll, like your electric bill, like your rent, like your gas bill, all of those things are just cost of business, and you pay for those via the margin in your items. And so if the credit card fees are going up by an amount that is not sustainable by your current margins, well, you should consider an increase to your margins. And we've built tools that will allow you to increase your margins by small amounts or big amounts, whatever you want, really. But probably what we're talking about here would be a handful of percentage points. That way you can adjust your prices to account for the increase in credit card fees. So if that's something that you find unsustainable and you don't want to go down the path of directly passing the fee on to your client for processing with a credit card, and instead you want to approach it by just, you know what, we're going to approach it a little more cleverly. We're just going to increase our margins by a little bit. Call Paladin support. We have built tools to help you do exactly that, so that you don't have to, you know, that would be a huge task for more. Oh, I'm going to do that manually. I've got to go to 10,000 items, increase the margin. No. We've built tools to help you do this with a few clicks of the button. Yeah, there might be some rebin tagging involved because it does involve changing the price. Granted, it's not a, you know, it's not a workless endeavor, but there are some ways to approach that problem that we've built that I think are clever and can really help you out. But the direct answer to your question, just to circle back, is no, cash discounting at this time doesn't exist in the Paladin shop. May in the future, but at this time it doesn't.
All right, I have 6 additional questions, and they're really good questions. I missed where the customers go to log in.
Oh, sure. Here, I can pull that back up. It's right at the top of the screen. Let me go back to, it's right here. So if we were to log out, we could go right at the top of the screen, hello, sign in. So we could just click on sign in, and then it takes us to here. And I have my browser set up so that it just auto fills the username and password, and
No account.
we click log in. Now, if I forgot my username, forgot my password, or if I don't have an account, I can sign up here. And so this is how all that works. This is extremely common online, you know, account behavior. All the features you would expect to be there for this.
Registration, credentialing.
Yep, exactly. They all exist.
Will there be a pay in store option? So buy online, pay in store.
Not at the moment. Any thoughts on that, Paul?
It's not on the roadmap.
Yeah, you know, maybe we'll make note of that. Charles, would you mind making note of that for me real fast? Let's think about that some more. Not something we've built at the moment, though. Thank you for the idea.
And the next one is, when is Paladin Shop going to be available for everybody?
That's a great question. Right now, it's available right now. Now we do have a lot of stores that are into this, and if you go into my office, there's a list of stores that want this, and we don't quite have it, you know, click a button and we, you know, build, you know, more than 1,000 online stores at the moment. So it will be a rollout process. You know, I have a finite number of people to work on this, and it's going to take some time in order to roll this many sites out. So be patient with us, but if you are interested, please type the name of your store and your name into the chat there, and then we'll make note of that, and I'll add you to my list, and we'll make sure and get to you as quickly as we can and help you get this set up.
Yeah. I mean, the other thought here is we're being cautious to start with, but at a time not too far in the distant future, this will be available for all of our customers.
Yep, yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that's what, like with any new feature, you know, most of you are familiar, we have a, you know, an alpha group, we have a beta group, we have a list of, you know, update profiles that goes from left to right across the country. And so we don't release code to everyone all at once. That's not wise. That's not how we do things. So, you know, we got to let this flow through that normal process, and that takes time. And, you know, we have found some kinks that we got to work out, like with any new feature, especially one this big. There's some things that we got to make sure work smooth so that you have a, so that your clients have a good experience on day one, because if they don't, they're never coming back to the site. So it's very important we get this right. And like Paul said, we're going to roll this out. But if you're interested, I am in the process of releasing this to more stores. And so if you want to get on my list, no problem. Let Charles know, type that into the chat there, and we'll put you on the list.
And then will rewards be linked online as well?
Great question. Yep. So like I talked about in that Paladin checkout screen, works just like the invoice and quote screen. So The features that are supported in invoice and quote in the invoice and quote module in Paladin Point of Sale are supported in the shop, in Paladin Shop. So yes is the short answer to the question. So rewards would be included in all of that. Yep, as well as sales. There's a lot of different suppliers that have sales that are associated with them. Those are all supported as well.
Here's one. Is there a way to only have a look, reprint invoices, statement function? As a pharmacy, we won't be selling items in the store.
I missed what you said, Charles. A look, reprint. Say that again.
Yeah. So they want to be able to just to have it as a portal, available as a portal. They don't want to sell anything because they don't sell anything in their store. It's prescription.
Well, I understand. Sorry, I misheard you. So like we talked about earlier in the inventory module here, let me grab my part again real fast. We've got the visibility options here. So, you know, I wouldn't do it item by item, obviously. I would do it department by department, but the answer is yes, you could turn off all departments. And so that would then mean there aren't any items available for sale on the site.
Okay, and would customers be able to use the online payment system to reconcile their credit account balances, such as in-store purchases?
To reconcile their credit account. So all invoices, whether they're run online or through the Paladin Point of Sale system, are visible online through the Paladin Shop, and so are statements. And so what are we reconciling in this question, Charles?
I'll read it again. Would customers be able to use the online payment system to reconcile their credit account balances? So they want to be able to reconcile their credit account balances. So I think we showed that. That shows all their accounts. Do you want to bring that screen up again?
Sure. Maybe.
So yeah, it's basically the same information that you're going to find in Paladin.
In this particular account that I have recalled right now, my account, I owe money to the store, but if the store owed money to me, which is just how I think about credit accounts, that would be displayed here also. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, this is where that reconciliation would be done. Yes.
And then can you please revisit the cost per transaction and per payment?
Sure, yeah, so the cost of the Paladin Shop is 9% of the revenue collected through the shop. So if you sell an item like Paul's example, if you sell you know, an invoice for $100 through the Paladin Shop, $9 of that would be collected on a weekly basis. Those are totaled, and ACH, just like Paladin does everything else that we bill, that's how that would work. Now, if someone made an account payment, so right here, make payment against their account, no, 9% of that would not be charged. That's not a sale that the Paladin Shop made. You made that sale elsewhere. And so in that instance, you wouldn't be charged anything other than, I mean, they would be paying with a credit card, so you'd have to pay the normal credit card processing fees, but there wouldn't be anything that we would collect in excess of that.
Okay, for orders online, if a customer chooses a charge account, is there a 9% on charge account transactions?
Yes.
Okay, we are interested in this. Please let us know when we could visit with someone. Okay. Ace Hardware Retailer here. I missed the first 15 minutes of the webinar, so I apologize if this was covered. But will only Ace items be visible on the website, or is it possible to import outside vendor products as well? If so, would photos need to be supplied for the website? It's a great question.
Yeah, great question. And I'm glad you're able to join even late. No problem at all. The answer is your entire scope of inventory, so whether they be your ACE products or products that you buy from anywhere else, are all eligible to be sold online. And also, because we have a very advanced approach to capturing images and and generating those rich descriptions. The Paladin AI system is not going to be limited just to items that are purchased from a major vendor. So we are also successful in generating those rich descriptions and finding images even for items that aren't purchased from a major vendor like Ace in your case. So yes, and we can still bring all of the other benefits that I talked about earlier to bear, even if the item isn't from a major vendor like Ace.
Okay. I think the last question. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. Let's see. Can the option to pay be removed from the account area? Since there is no ACH and no credit card fees available, I don't want B2B customers paying, but it would be helpful if they can see their invoices. Interesting.
At this time, no. If I'm understanding the question correctly, I think the question is, can we remove the ability to make an online payment? Is that what you're understanding too, Charles?
Yes.
Yeah, at this time, no, there isn't an ability to remove that. Something we can consider in the future, but at this time, no. And like I said earlier, path of least resistance. This is an easy way for people to make payments. There's no check that has to be written. There's no envelope that has to be found and addressed and stamp that has to be purchased and mail that has to be put in the mailbox. And then, a week delay before you receive that, and then, work on your end. You now have to open that. You have to have that stack of checks on your desk. You got to put all that in. All of that gets circumvented if they just make the payment here online. And that means money in your pocket faster. And an increase to cash flow, in my experience, is very beneficial to most businesses.
And I got a lot of thank yous here, and thanks for the clarification. Thanks for the information. At least these few people are interested. So I have taken down their information, and we will reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. I hope you guys have a great day. And if you have any other questions or need further information, feel free to call Paladin support, and we can get you to the right people to get more information. Thanks so much, everybody. Hope you have a great day.